Paleolithic effigies are not rare, but really quite common. Before my discovery of Paleo Story Stone face and Mammoth effigies in October of 2020, with the first specimen found in situ on top of Harvard Hill, a presumed Clovis site in the Mojave Desert, California, Mammoth effigies were thought to be somewhat rare. But now we know that they span the globe and are found on all the continents except Antarctica, and they date back to Homo habilis some 2 million years ago. They're also made out of every kind of possible stone on planet Earth, along with bone, ivory, antler, fossil material, on and on and on, anything that existed during the Pleistocene period, over 11,000 years ago, before the mammoth became extinct. After the mammoth became extinct, these effigies were no longer made. The mammoth had died out, and the mammoth worship tradition that extended worldwide, and again back to Homo habilis, every Homo species making them since Homo habilis. Once the mammoth died out, the mammoth tradition, worldwide mammoth tradition, died out along with it. But these are two fantastic effigies that we'll see here in a minute. But to show you that Paleolithic effigies are not rare at all, James Harrod is a researcher studying and having studied for years Paleolithic art worldwide, and he's written this article, North Central South America Paleo and Early Archaic Archaeological Sites with Zoomorphic or Anthropomorphic Sculptures, in other words, effigies. And this can be accessed on ResearchGate. And Mr. Harrod had written this article and had asked me for a number of effigies to include in his article. So there are quite a few Paleolithic story stone type effigies that are included in this article, indicating and suggesting that they're not rare at all. They're really quite common. Now, when you go through the article, you'll see my name attached to a number of the effigies in the article. However, for some reason, the photographs have been removed. So the photos, unfortunately, are no longer next to the descriptions. They used to be when he first wrote the article, but for some reason, the photographs are omitted at this time. But I'd recommend this. James Harrod being a specialist in Paleolithic art, and I think his article will indicate that these effigies are not rare at all. In fact, they're really quite common. But getting back to these are two Clovis bifaces. They're biface cash blades, and they're both effigies. One's made out of Andara volcanic glass, this one made out of periwinkle blue, that was dug up by Lady Nellie Thompson on her property at Mount Shasta in the late 60s, early 70s. And she dug up quite a number of them, and they've been sold worldwide. They didn't know that these were artifacts. They thought that these were just nature-made stones that they dug up on their property, and they didn't know that they were flaked or etched. Of course, nobody really observed the etching on flake stone until I discovered these effigies, and it's really very common on Paleolithic flake stone and only on Paleolithic flake stone, as they no longer etched stone after the Paleolithic period because they had no need to image the hair of the faces and the hair of the mammoth. And you can see atop this face, if I can get this in the right light, you see that etching right there at the top of the head. That's all been individually grooved into the stone. That's very beautiful etching and outstanding edge work. This is Clovis, undoubtedly, without a doubt. When Dr. Michael Gramley visited me, he held this in his hand and he turned to me and he said, Clovis scraper, which it is in the shape of, but then I replied also a Clovis effigy, a Clovis cash blade, and to which he agreed. But this is a periwinkle blue volcanic glass specimen. Now this glass differs greatly from obsidian. This is not obsidian, not even close. This is a very hard and dense material compared to obsidian. and it's not brittle like obsidian at all. And it doesn't contain water like obsidian would with the obsidian hydration test that we can use to date flaked obsidian stone. And it doesn't devitrify at all as obsidian does. And there is no oxygen atoms in this glass at all, whereas obsidian is loaded with oxygen because obsidian is mainly silicon dioxide, meaning a lot of oxygen in the stone. There's absolutely no oxygen in this stone at all. And I've provided a link below to a description of Andara volcanic glass and how it was tested, how I originally tested it with the Stephen F. Austin State University Geology Department. Geologist Rick Shaw and his professor performed the testing and confirmed that this is naturally occurring glass and not man-made slag glass as many had thought previously. So this is volcanic glass. Obviously, it's in the shape of a Clovis biface. It's beautifully flaked for those of you who know flaking. That's all been flaked. And of course, when these were dug, well, all the way up until October 2020, nobody knew about these face and mammoth effigies. I was the first to discover them. And so when I saw that after my discovery that they were made out of every kind of stone on the planet, I came upon this glass. I knew it was nature made immediately because I knew that they were Paleolithic artifacts, beautifully flaked and etched, beautifully etched and grooved for the hair of the faces of the mammoths. And so I knew it was a naturally occurring glass, but I had it tested anyway because I wanted it scientifically tested so we don't have any doubts about it. And you can also access the spreadsheet that tested 3 samples that were all effigies, one blue, one green, and one yellow. And they all tested out the same. None of them have oxygen in it. They have no sodium in it. And modern made slag glass has a lot of sodium from soda that lowers the temperature melting point of silica to make glass manufacturing economically feasible. So you can read about it in the link below. It'll take you to the scientific information about this Andara volcanic glass. And what a beautiful periwinkle blue it is. Here's the eye of the face, which is the bubble, and the nose, and the mouth, which has all been flaked out. Now that's been flaked out on the other side. So we're looking through the glass to see the imagery. Just outstanding Clovis workmanship at its very, very best. Because this is a Clovis biface, as we'll see in a minute with the obsidian one that I personally found at Bishop, California, on the ancient banks of the Owens River. But what a great facial imagery that is there. And then we have this bubble right here that's been flaked to the surface. That's been flaked to the surface, so now it's a hole. And that's the eye of the mammoth facing off to the right, that hole right there. I think you can see it right there. It's even got the original dirt in there. And that's the eye of the mammoth facing right, and that's the mature mammoth facing right. And then when we turn it this way, now we have a wonderful baby mammoth with its exaggerated eye here, massive hair tuft above the head, looking off to the left now. That's the baby mammoth with the hair tuft, big eye, looking off to the left. And then this also doubles for the eye of a face with this the eye and this pointed area over here, the nose, looking off from the back of the mammoth. Wow, look at all that Clovis, beautiful flaking and edge work. Look at that Clovis flaking there, folks. That's all been beautifully flaked out. And and then we have the face. When we turn it over on this side here, we have the same imagery. Here's the eye. Here's the nose over here in the mouth of the young face looking off to the right. And you can see all the hair that's been etched into the stone above on the top of the head. That's all been wonderfully grooved and etched in there. And I discovered this etching on flake stone. Now, we knew about it on paleo effigies that were made out of bone and ivory, but we weren't aware of it on flake stone. And it's the same etching and engraving found on bone and ivory as it is here on the flake stone, but we just hadn't observed it prior to my discovery. And then, of course, we have that mammoth again with the eye over here of the mature mammoth facing off to the left. And now we have the baby mammoth facing off with its eye facing off to the right. Wow, but the workmanship, look at the edge work. That's Clovis edge work right there. And you're going to see the same Clovis edge work on this obsidian piece, which again is totally different stone than this. Two different stones, two different atomic compositions to it. They're not the same stone at all. This is not obsidian. This is obsidian here. And I found this on the banks of the Owens River in Bishop. And it's an effigy too. Here's the eye of the old face and the mouth flaked off, looking off to the left. It's a little bit abstract, but that's what they were wanting to image. Then we have another face with the eye and the mouth down here, facing off to the right. When we turn it upside down here, we have this old face here with this eye, kind of a grimacing mouth down here, looking off to the left, grimacing mouth and eye flaked into the stone. You can see it's wonderfully etched too, like the volcanic glass etching right there. That's all been individually etched. Those are etching lines. They have nothing to do with ripple lines. Those right here, you can feel them. They've got ridges where they were etched there. That's grooved into the stone, engraved into the stone. And then we have another face looking off to the right, a younger face looking off to the right, with the eye and the nose over here and the hairdo up here, and all that's been engraved too. Some of that's been grooved big time up there, and just wonderfully worked. The edge work is identical in both of them, and the shape is practically identical as well. So I found this. This is a Clovis biface effigy, beautifully flaked. And then we have the mammoth imagery when we turn it this way. We have the baby mammoth with its exaggerated eye looking off to the left. And then we have a more mature mammoth with its eye that's been engraved and grooved out right up here, right there. The eye of the mature mammoth now facing off to the right. And then the way I found it, it was face up like this. And that caliche kind of hid it because it was more covered with caliche when I found it in a caliche-laden soil. So people had walked by it before. I just happened to see the general shape of it, and then I went ahead and picked it up. The underside was caked with sand, but I just wiped it like that, and I knew it was just a beautiful obsidian Clovis cash blade right off the bat. And what a lucky find, what a great find that was. We can't see the flaking and the work and the engraving and all of the imagery on this side because it's still covered with caliche that's been really attached to this stone, and I don't want to grind it off of there. Just leave it as it is, the way it was found. But I just wanted to share a couple of Clovis cash blade biface Paleo Story Stone face and mammoth effigies, and to let you know that paleo effigies are not rare at all. In fact, they're quite common, and I would recommend that you read James Harrod's article on ResearchGate and scroll down. Unfortunately, he removed a lot of the photos. I don't know why, because they went so well with the descriptions. But at least the descriptions are still definitely part of the text, which makes up his article. So, two wonderful Paleo Story Stone face and mammoth effigies, one made out of volcanic glass, much different than obsidian, from Mount Shasta, California, and the other one made out of obsidian from Bishop, California.